Hi there. My name is Kelly Bohm, and today on the Driven podcast, I have a really special guest. I'm super excited about this one because I get to sit down with someone who has been a part of my story for as long as I can remember. My best friend and a sister I never had, Amber Nisley. But our conversation today goes past our fun childhood memories, and we talk about Amber's journey as a mom to her son, Austin. When Austin was 3 years old, he was diagnosed with Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy. If you don't know, it's a rare and devastating muscle wasting disease. But through heartbreak, resilience, and a whole lot of faith, Amber has turned this journey into action by founding Austin's Hope, which is a nonprofit that helps families across the country who are facing the same challenges that they are. So you'll get to hear her honest story, how she shifts from fear to faith, and just the incredible impact that her organization is having in the lives of Duchenne families. Austin's 12 years old now and recently went into a wheelchair, but he's an inspiration to everyone around him. He has great courage, he's very determined, and he now plays a role on his middle school football team. So let's dive right in. Here's my conversation with Amber Nisley and the story of Austin's Hope. It's so good to see you. We've walked through so much of our life together.
Yeah.
Um, it's been really fun. It's still fun. It's
It's been a journey, that's for sure.
so Amber and I have been friends since the nursery.
At Leota Wesleyan Church.
How do you think were our moms pregnant together?
I'm pretty sure our moms are pregnant together, yes, at the church.
I've never
Uh,
seen a picture of them pregnant or her. There's the one picture of us on the couch when we were little girls. It's like on
yeah.
my phone. It like flips through. It's one of my screensavers. We were like toddlers, but I wish there was like a really, really, really early picture of us. But that was like, you're
Mhm.
probably 3. But I know we were friends before that.
I know, definitely, for sure, for life.
I know. It's so great. So I really want to talk to you today about how you founded Austin's Hope, the nonprofit that you run with a board, with volunteers, and you've raised so much money. But um, I'd like to like just back up a little bit and have you explain Austin's Hope and really, I guess, Austin's story and like when you first learned about Austin, your son, and what was
Mhm.
going on.
Yeah, so we have 2 children, Austin, who is now 12, and Ayla is now 10. When Austin was 3 and Ayla was 1, Austin was in preschool. One day we had a little parent teacher conference, and one of the teachers mentioned like, "Hey, Amber and Tim, we don't think Austin is moving like quite as well as the other kids his age. We feel like something is going on. You might want to call your doctor. He may need some physical therapy or something like that." So we walked away and I was like, "Oh, okay, get out in my car. I call our pediatrician's office, left a message like, hey, the teachers noticed maybe something's going on with some of his mobility, etc." Well, I got back into my car and I was driving out to another office for work, and I happened to call my mom. And I shared with my mom what the preschool teachers had said. And she just started crying. And she said, "Amber, I've been wanting to talk to you about this for a while." She worked in a daycare during the summer, and there were a couple boys in her class, brothers, who had Duchenne muscular dystrophy. My mom's like, "I think you need to rule out Duchenne." I'm like, "First of all, I've never heard of Duchenne. I don't even know what that is. Furthermore, I've heard of muscular dystrophy, but I don't know much about it." So I remember pulling off to the side of the road of the highway, and I Googled Duchenne muscular dystrophy. As soon as I saw kind of like what it was, some of the symptoms like enlarged calf muscles, a few things like that, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, this is what my son has." Like I knew it. Austin has very, very strong, or they look strong, calf muscles. When he was younger, everyone would be like, "What kind of sports is he in? Oh my gosh, he's so strong." We'll come to find out that is actually muscle that turns to scar tissue that builds, that looks strong and it isn't. So I would say at that moment, when I pulled over on side of the road and I read that, my world drastically changed. So that is kind of how this whole journey started.
Mhm.
From there, of course, we went to, thankfully, we live in Columbus, Ohio, Nationwide Children's Hospitals in our backyard. One of the top research hospitals in the world, really, for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So that's kind of where our journey started. And Austin's now 12. So we've come quite a long ways from age 3 to age 12. When I was 3 years old, or when he was 3, all those years ago, I thought there's no way we can do this. I don't know how we're going to do this. And here we are. He's 12 and we're doing it. And really what Duchenne is, it's a genetic muscle wasting disease. It affects mostly boys. So these boys are born, they look healthy, but over time you lose the ability to stand up from the floor. You lose the ability to walk. Eventually lose the ability to raise up, to raise your hand or to shake, I'm sorry, to raise your hands or shake someone's hand or even to feed yourself. And eventually these boys die of heart and or lung failure, as obviously those are also muscles as well. So right now the average age is of life expectancy is 20 to 30 years of age. We are very hopeful that, of course, we're always praying for a miracle, but also very hopeful that medicine and research continues to develop within Austin's lifetime.
Mhm. Ugh, like, hearing you talk about it just takes me back too, just
I know.
remembering. I remember too, before we knew, before you knew, before your family knew, you guys came to visit in Arizona. And I remember us going to the Children's Museum, and I have a nephew his same age, Harvey. And I remember him like running on like a like a little like what was that? Like a bridge that was uneven. And I
Yeah.
remember him having a lot of trouble. And
Yeah.
my my children didn't at that same age. I remember like it was, my kids are older. And then I remember you pointing out his calves. And I remember us
I
talking
do
about that
remember
in that
that day, and I
moment.
feel like maybe you did mention something.
Oh, I remember he came down the slide and my kids and my nephews would just hop right back up when they come off the slide. And he like would come to the end of the slide and then have to like just slower getting up.
Mhm.
And I think at that age, well, number one, you had no idea what this was like. So you're not looking for this. And he's your
No,
first,
and he's our first child.
right?
Yeah,
He's your firstborn. You don't know. And kids just develop at different
I know.
points. And I remember you calling, saying like it's muscular dystrophy of some sort, and you were like hoping it was, is it Becker's?
Yeah, I was hoping it was Becker muscular dystrophy because it's a less severe form. It's still horrible, but a less
Right.
severe form of Duchenne. But yes, it was confirmed Duchenne for sure.
Yeah. So I feel like we could talk about
I
that
know.
forever, that
So,
direction. But I guess at what point did you realize this was there was something bigger in this journey and that you and your family wanted to do something more? And when did you decide to start Austin's Hope,
mm,
or how did it lead to that?
mhm. So, when Austin was diagnosed, I think those first few years, you are just trying to even begin to start comprehending what this means for Austin's life, for your
Right.
family's life. Um, so, trying to figure out where the best researchers are, what kind of
Mhm.
clinical trials can we get into? I remember telling people like, "Eh, I'll raise $1 million if we need to go to Switzerland." I'm making this up. Like I just was like, we will do anything to
Yeah.
find a treatment or a cure. That was my obsession. I shouldn't say quickly, I eventually realized that there is nothing I can do.
Mhm.
I personally cannot move science forward.
Mhm.
I
When
personally,
do you think you came to that? When do you feel like you got
yeah. So I mean, after those several years, I think I started realizing like my hands are tied. What I can do is love my son and
Mhm.
do what I can. And ironically, like 30 minutes from our house is Nationwide Children's Hospital, and it's the best care he could receive. So, um, I think, as a mom, you want to fix everything. You
Yeah.
can't fix it. Um, but I had all this energy where I'm like, you got to do something, right? Like when something's wrong, I'm a doer.
Mhm.
So I think I had, several years after Austin was diagnosed, we'd go to conferences, meet families. I then come, to meet other families who do not have the resources that we have. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like these wheelchairs cost thousands of dollars. You have to do home modifications. Um, traveling for clinical trials, there's just so much expense that is involved in this. I'm like, maybe that's something we can do. And, we would go to different Duchenne fundraisers and stuff, but I was like, I personally would really like to dictate where that money is going. Like,
Right.
I want to be able to be like, hey, I want to be able to choose how these funds are rate or, what we're going to do with these funds. So, it was 3 years ago. Well, our first gala, our biggest fundraising event, our first gala was in 2023. So I think it was the spring of 2022 that I finished all of the paperwork for Austin's Hope and we started our nonprofit or our foundation. So it took, 5, 6, 7 years to eventually be able to make it come to fruition. But we have. And yeah, so we were founded in 2022.
So was it hard getting all the paperwork, filing everything to become a nonprofit? Like, what did you have to prove? Did you have to like, what's the first step in that in
Well,
doing?
I honestly did not remember what the first step was. I think the first thing was like, okay, I have this passion. And
Mhm.
then I think just searching online, asking other nonprofits who have started it,
Mm.
where do I even get started? How do I do this? And I remember talking to my neighbor, telling her about all of this, and she's like, Amber, her husband coaches soccer. Hey, there's this dad on our soccer team. He's a lawyer. I know he recently helped someone in our community start a nonprofit. You should connect with him. So she connected me with him. And then he
Okay.
just like pro bono walked me through the
Oh my
steps and held
God.
my hand. And I just like God has put people in place just like that because it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do this nonprofit to raise money, but I feel like God keeps pointing me in that direction by the people he's providing to kind of guide, me through this process.
Right. Yeah. So the first money you raised was from the gala, or did you get donations before that moment?
No, I just said we had a group of friends.
Okay.
I'm like, you guys, I need a board because to become a nonprofit, you have to have like a president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, etc. I'm like, I need some signatures. Will you guys be a part of this process with us? And
Okay.
they're like, absolutely, we're on board with you. We're going to do this. So we had our first meeting, and I was like, all right, guys, I'm envisioning this gala. I like kind of explained to them what I envisioned. They're like, okay, let's make it happen. No,
Mhm.
we didn't have a penny,
Okay.
nothing. So I'm like, well, how are we going to do this gala? So then I started getting corporate sponsorships.
Okay.
Just I came up with some sponsorship tiers, asked some businesses to sponsor us. Then I got the money to
Okay.
pay for, for this event. And
Uh-huh.
just through that, we had our ticket sales, we had our live auction, silent auction, all of those sorts of things. So our first year, at our first gala, we raised $74,000 net profit,
Um,
like $74,000. 100% of our proceeds go to help other families. So,
okay.
we don't keep any of it. It's just all
Yeah.
for other families. And then
Yeah.
last year, our second gala, we raised 90,000. So
Oh
amazing.
my goodness. Do you think you'll
This
raise?
year, my goal is 150. We'll see. I don't know.
Okay. That's
It's a
awesome.
hefty goal. Yeah.
I think it's good. You should. You should aim high. So who was the first family that you were able to help? Can you mention them by name or can you talk about how you helped? What was the first family? Do you can you remember that?
I remember, oh my gosh, Kelly. Wow, that's a really great question. I don't know if this was the first family, but it is a story that has just stuck with me.
Mhm.
There's a grandma, she has custody of her grandson who has Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Okay.
And it's just the two of them. And, these boys living with Duchenne, it's hard. It's a lot, you are their caregiver. There's a lot to
Mhm.
it. And he broke his leg, so he needed extra care. And she was a Door Dasher and she couldn't DoorDash anymore because she had to be home with him. And the situation just really struck my heart. And we were able to help pay for their mortgage for a few months and some utilities and different things like that. So that's just one story I think that has always stuck out to me. Just, of a grandma, single grandma raising her grandson with Duchenne. So and I know there's many stories, but that one does stick out to me.
Yeah. Well, and it's a very physical thing as the caregiver to
Mhm.
care for someone with Duchenne, right? So,
Mhm.
like, you're young, you're 45, we're so young. But I can't imagine someone being, 60, 65, 70 years old and being the
Yeah.
main caretaker for that person. What are some of the biggest needs that you see in a lot of the Duchenne families? Is it the same thing?
Some of the biggest needs are mobility devices like a
Mhm.
scooter, power chair. So eventually, like my son Austin, he can no longer walk. So he has a full time power chair, like one of those big wheelchairs that are super
Yeah.
cool. He's able to drive it around. It has headlights. It's wonderful. Insurance pays for that. Our insurance did it. They're usually like $50,000, I would want to say. But before you get to that point, before you completely come off of your feet, obviously it's kind of a slow progression to that. So insurance will pay for one wheelchair every 5 years. So before that time comes, people are like, my son, he can still walk, but not long distances. So they need a mobility scooter. Insurance doesn't cover that. Or most recently, there was this young boy. He's in the Boy Scouts. He could still walk a little bit, but they were going out into the woods to do this trip, I
Yeah.
guess. And they're like, we need a wheelchair and a wheelchair that can go out and can go through mud and in
Mhm.
the dirt. So we were able to help to buy him a specialized wheelchair for that. And I think
Mhm.
home modifications,
Mhm.
widening doorways, having zero entry showers. For the boys can roll their chairs right in there. And then I think too, we have actually helped with a lot of mortgages. I think
Mm.
Shen is just it is just expensive and it's a
Yeah.
lot. And if there was recently a mom, she is the full-time caregiver of her son. The dad worked. The dad just became ill with terminal cancer. So he's off of work. So we've been able to help kind of fill the gap for that too. So the needs are endless, is what I'll say.
How do these people find you, the families?
Yeah.
Who tells them? Is the Duchenne community pretty small? Like, I mean, I know there's a lot of boys impacted, but is it a tight
Yeah. Yeah. So
community?
one in every 3,500 to 5,000 boys are impacted with Duchenne. It is a rare disease, but I will say the Duchenne community, it is, I've often heard people say it is the best family you never wanted to be a part of. Like
Yeah.
it is such a rich community of people. We, Tim and I and our kids, we've been really involved in going to conferences, meeting other families. There is this connection. Like you look at a mom and there's just this instant connection because you feel so deeply what the other is going through. So I would say just by us going to conferences, we're able to share our
Mhm.
charity. There's some different pharma companies that we've been able to connect with that will share, kind of who we are and what we do. And then there's other nonprofits in the Duchenne world where, a lot of Duchenne profits are fundraising for research, which we need research so badly so we can cure this disease. My heart, however, is more for these families. I'm
Mhm.
living it. I know what it's like. I want to help the here and now. There is
Yeah,
such a
immediate
need.
need. Yeah.
So there's different like nonprofits who do different things. So these other nonprofits will refer families to us, and it's just
Okay.
kind of like a word of mouth, really.
Are you overwhelmed by requests right now, or are you able to keep up with the requests? Are you able to say yes to everything, or have you had to say no?
Um, I would say I would say recently I've probably been get receiving like one request a week. Some things may be small. Hey, can you help us get a ramp for our front door? And
Yeah.
that's something I can order on Amazon. It's $500. Other
Okay.
requests have been like, can you help us modify our bathroom or buy an accessible van? And no, it would take our entire budget. Accessible vans
Right.
are $90,000. I can't buy that for that family, but I can contribute, or Austin's Hope can contribute towards that. Um, I have had to tell a family no, they wanted to do this bathroom modification. They sent me pictures, kind of told me what they were looking for, and after doing the research, we did not think it was the right, scenario, I guess, for that bathroom modification. So I'm like,
Okay.
oh, if have an occupational therapist come in, have them check it out, and then potentially we can help you.
Mm,
But I have to be smart too on
right,
making sure how we spend our funds. That it is in the best way
right,
that's really going to help.
right. So do you have any idea how many families you've helped? Do you have that tracked?
Mhm.
We need to
Not
track these numbers.
not off the top of my head. I
We're gonna
know.
start
I keep
tracking these.
telling myself I need to
Maybe before the gala.
know off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
guessing 30, 40 families.
okay. That's awesome. It's so good. So I know some neighborhood kids helped
Yes.
Austin, right?
Yes.
So Austin, so what tell us about that, the
Are you talking
trek.
about the trike?
The trike, yeah, the
This
trike.
is this is kind of also what played into part of us or wanting to have Austin's hope, but Austin's little buddies in the neighborhood, they were all out and about riding their bikes. This was years ago, and Austin cannot ride a bike. And this one mom, she decided to kind of behind the scenes put together this fundraiser. And I think they raised, I don't know, $1,300, $1,500 to buy Austin this bright orange electric trike. So wheel in the
Mhm.
front, two wheels in the back, electric, so he doesn't have to pedal. And that way he was able to ride to school with his buddies, ride around the neighborhood. And Kelly, actually, just this past weekend, we had two neighborhood boys stop by and to invite Austin to go fishing with them. Well,
Mhm.
he obviously can't walk, so it's not like he's going to get up and walk around and go fishing. But Tim just carried Austin out to that trike, sat him on it, and Austin just went out with them to the pond for a couple hours, and he just sat on his trike and hung out with the boys while they fished and came back. And then Tim went out in the garage, picked him up, and carried him back in. So it's truly things like that that
Mm.
are a game changer. Kelly, I know one time you said you are only as happy as your saddest child. And I think about that so often. Like when Austin was out doing that with the boys on Sunday, like my heart was so full and satisfied because
Mhm.
he was able to be a 12-year-old boy. Not
Right.
fully, not how I
Right.
would imagined his life, but he was still able to be a part of the community and be a part of something.
Right, right, and you said recently, he's part of the football team, the
Yes.
Grizel Middle
Yes.
School.
Yep.
Tell tell us about that and, like, how that's made you feel.
Oh, I just had a meeting at work today, and before we actually start the work meeting, we go around and share like a highlight of your week. And it was
Mhm.
actually just this morning, my highlight was so we now have an accessible van. So Austin can just I put down the ramp, he drives his wheelchair in, put the ramp up, and take him to school, put the ramp down, he drives out and he's like, bye mom, see you later, blah, blah, blah. Well, this morning, we just did our normal routine and I was just driving back to the house and it was beautiful out, and my heart felt so happy because I could tell he is just happy right now at this phase of life, and it hasn't always been that way, and his community at school, his friends, it is one of the it is the most beautiful thing. Obviously, it's my son, so I'm gonna think this, but the love and support he has is something that I will forever cherish. And all of his buddies play football.
Mhm.
And it's always been sad for Tim and I, right? That he cannot experience that with his friends. I had reached out to the athletic director, the football coach. Hey, if Austin's interested, could he help out with the football team? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yep, of course. So Austin has gone to every single practice, whether it's 7 in the morning or right after school. He goes to the games and if it's an away game, I'll pull up our van behind the bus, he'll get in, and then we follow the bus to the game and drop him
Okay.
off. And basically he's just hanging out with the team and that sense of community to be a part of something, for him to be a part of the locker room. He doesn't really say anything. He is pretty reserved, but I can just tell by his demeanor that he is happy. Maybe I would even say joyful, experiencing that. And for me to see him like that, it has, I mean, it changes who I am, how I get through my day when I see him happy.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. I think, this is his first time being a 12-year-old boy, and this is your first time being the mom of a 12-year-old boy, and I think it's a very special time, and it's hard in some ways because you're not volunteering in his classroom. They kind of make friendships on their own, and I think sports is a way for you to stay connected, and it's a new school. I mean, it's a feeder school, like you went from the elementary to the middle school, and there's probably families you do know, but I think it's really good to have that community
Mm,
and connection. And if your kids aren't involved in school, I think it's harder for them to stay, like to have a good experience at school. Like if you're just going and learning and going home, it's just kids do better with when they're involved in school. And so do
I know.
moms.
I know. And
So
we went after the last home game. There's this little restaurant by our house, but a bunch of families and the boys all went there. And Austin just drives his wheelchair in there right up to the table. Like families I have never met before, are part of this
yeah,
football team. And it was just the camaraderie was just a gift to me, is what I'll say.
so nice. It's so good. So what do you see this next couple of years looking like for Austin? What is he excited about? Do you feel like he has a purpose? Do you think this football has helped him find a purpose? Does he
Yeah.
Do you guys
Um,
talk about the future? Do you just live in today?
we do talk about the future. We were on vacation a few years ago, and I don't know, somehow the conversation got brought up about Tim and I dying or something. And Austin was like, well, I know I'm gonna die before you and dad do. I'm like, buddy, what do you mean? He's like, I know I'm gonna die when I'm like 20 or 30. I'm like, oh, Austin. I'm like, what are you thinking? He's like, oh, I don't care. And it's like, I think, when you're a young boy, 10, 11, 30 probably seems like 200 to us, right? Like you don't really grasp the reality of what that means. And you know what I said to him? I said, Austin, this is why we pray over you all the time. Like, I know, Kelly, you gave me a sign that says there will be miracles. Like, I believe that. Like, I am just praying over him for healing. And, we just shared with him, buddy, that's why we're praying for you. That's why we're trying to give you the best care. So yes, but he does make comments like, well, first of all, he hates school, but he does want to go to college. Um,
Okay.
and some boys with Duchenne do go to college. They have full-time caregivers around the clock. And I think for Austin, more than anything, the social, he
Mhm.
needs, I mean, he comes home and he's drained and he doesn't want anyone to talk to him. He is exhausted, but he does love friends. He does love people and being a part of something. So yes, Kelly, to answer your question, this football is huge. I'm hoping he'll do this with the basketball team. And if he does go to college, maybe he'll get to be a part of the Ohio State Buckeye football
Yes.
team. Like I don't know. I, I have high hopes for him, you
Yeah.
just never know what doors will open.
Right.
But I do think, now that, healthcare, continues to get better and we learn more about Duchenne, boys are living longer. And a lot of families actually talk about that. Like, my son graduated college 2 years ago. Like, now what, right? Like, we've gotta keep developing programs and systems to help these young men be independent.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's a hard place to be in because a lot of life is, especially you and I, we like look forward to the next thing,
Yeah.
like the event, the birthday, the celebration, the whatever. And I think um, as a mom of a child that has no health concerns, you
Mhm.
kind of want to stop time because you know they're going to go away to college, but it's like this celebratory thing and you've done your job and
Mhm.
you've raised a young man. I think it presents different challenges when you want to stop time because you want to keep him healthy.
I know.
And I think it's just like it's really hard. I think so. How do you keep your head in the right space, Amber? Like practical things. Like obviously you have a deep faith in God. And I have always had that. And God has had his hand on your
Mm.
life and on your heart since you were a little girl.
Practical things.
But like, how do you cope on a day-to-day basis? Or do you feel like you're just so busy in the work that it's
No, I think there's always grief and there's always what if. That doesn't go away at all. But like today when I was driving home from dropping him off, I felt joy, and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna let myself feel this." Like, yeah, he
Yeah.
can't walk, but guess what? He has this wheelchair that like, he's confident in now.
Yeah.
There's these girls opening the door for him to get in and just trying to, like, honestly be thankful for what I have,
Yeah.
what he has, because this disease only gets worse over time. Like, right now, I'm like, "God, please just let him, keep his hand strength. As long as he has his hands and can move, he can still," I'm like, "Please don't let him lose that ability." So I think just
Mm,
being thankful, being thankful for the here and now, I guess, is what I'll
yeah.
say, that we still have him, we still get to do life together.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that we've been blessed with such community to kind of hold our hands through this.
God has put you in this spot that you've been dealt a crappy this Austin's been dealt really like this is like you don't want this hand to be dealt to you.
Mhm,
But you're his mom and you're so I mean, I watch you and admire you from afar and um like you've been a great mom to him and you're fighting so hard for him and everyone that knows you sees it. Like you fighting to protect and to give him the best. And I think it's just such a beautiful thing to see as an outsider, like this
mhm.
horrible thing that you see beauty in and other people see the beauty in
Yeah,
how you've loved.
you know. And speaking of, you were just talking about kids, and I think also, you know, there's all of these children, right? Whether they have Duchenne muscular dystrophy, whether they, struggle in school, there's trials everywhere. Everyone is struggling with something. I do think, like, how it's our job as adults, we know how important it is to encourage these kids, to help them find things that they're secure in, and help them realize, who they are, what skill sets they have, what they can offer, right? To help them to be confident and to be joyful, and to be able to give back to their friends and to others. And I just think, um I think of teachers, what a huge role that is. And you're with these children 8 hours a day. You're breathing, you're either breathing life into them, or you're not. And I just think, even with our children, disabilities, no disabilities, to help them see their talents and gifts, right? I think is
Yes,
part of our job as parents.
the privilege. What would do you come across a lot of moms who are just finding out about their child's diagnosis, where they have young boys? Do you come
Mhm.
across that a lot?
Yeah, I mean, being on social media and Facebook, I'm a part of different Duchenne groups. And yes, there's moms are always like, "Hey, I'm brand new to this group. My son was just diagnosed," and um, I just feel sick for them, because that
Mhm.
raw emotion and feeling that I felt all those years ago, it's never going to go away. It's always there. There was a lady here in town who, one of her friends from high school, her son was just diagnosed with Duchenne. So she connected me with her, and we were able to talk on the phone. And um yeah, like I said, I think the Duchenne community, we all just are constantly communicating and trying to support each other and love on each other the best we can.
What would you tell
Mm.
What would you tell a family member, like, or a friend that if this was their reality, what would you say to that person? Like, and almost to yourself, like, if you could go back to that time, like, is there a lesson or is there something you would need to hear or wish that you would know? Is there something you'd say to your younger self?
Well, I think one thing that I did a lot of, and it just created pure anxiety in me constantly. Like I said, was when I was constantly in the computer trying to research, trying to network, trying to get into the best doctors. Like, if I can just talk to that right person, I know we'll be able to get in this trial. Like, just that craziness that created within me,
Mhm.
and the angst and the stress. Like, you know, I should have said something differently. I think what I would say, I guess if I was diagnosed, I would probably do all of that again. Um, but I also think you can't play God, and you can try to do all those phone calls and network, but you can't beat yourself up if you feel like you said the wrong word, or if like, you just gotta be you. You're just trying to help your child, and, I think some things you just gotta let go of that
Mhm.
you can't control. I don't think that really answers your question, but I think just looking back, that's what a time, those years that I hated.
Mhm.
Just trying to be God, I think, and make things happen that was completely out of my hands.
Yeah. What did Amy say to you on the day
No,
that
I was just thinking about that.
so Amber lives really close to one of our other
Yeah.
best friends from high school, Amy, who lives in our same community.
Mm.
And Amy and her family have been a huge support. And Amy's son is one of Austin's best buds.
Yeah, he
What did
is.
Amy say to you that
It was
day?
basically like, I don't know, Austin was diagnosed. I was out in the front porch. It was the same day. I was out in the front porch, like pacing, losing my mind. Amy came up, and I think I was just like, I can't do this. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And she said, what did she say? Like, you can't, like, basically, she was saying, it's not going to feel good. This is not going to be a fun experience, but you can do it. I mean, it wasn't exactly that, but just she was acknowledging the fact of you have to do it, but I am alongside with you that it's not going to be, a fun experience. What exactly was that? I wish I could
Something
remember.
like, this
It
isn't
may not
okay, but everything's but you're going to be okay. It's going to
it
be okay.
may not feel okay, but you're going to be okay. Or some Amy, I wish you were on here and you could remind us. But it was something along those
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah. Well, and I just think it's so easy, to like be past this point, to be 10 years into this and like to be more mature. But you kind of have to go through all that to be mature. Like, of course, you don't know how to handle it. There's no handbook on it.
Mm.
I mean, that we live our principles by the word of God, but I think there's no handbook in the pain that you feel for your kid. Like it's not
Well, yeah,
written.
when you just wanna fix it and you can't, like,
Mhm.
literally, I feel like if someone tells me no, like, even as a ki I'm like, "I'm gonna figure out a way to make it happen." Like,
Totally.
we're
Yes.
gonna figure it out.
That's
And
the
I
way
feel
out of Indiana in us for sure.
yeah,
We're gonna figure it out.
and I feel like with Duchenne, that was I'm like, "No, we're gonna figure this out. We're going to get in this clinical trial that's gonna cure him. Like, I'm gonna figure it out." And years into it, I'm like, I had to, like, just surrender, like, "God, I've 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 done what I can, now what?" And like again, like I said, that's kind of how the charity I think came to life was like, I've got to do something. So where can I
Yeah.
put this energy? Hey, let's help other people.
Yep. Yeah. I love it. It's so beautiful. So how can people get involved in Austin's Hope? I know they can go to austins hope.org, right?
Yes,
And go
awesome.
to
So
austins hope.org. What do you need for like you're trying to raise $150,000 at this gala
yes.
net. What do you need for that? Sponsorships, people to
Yeah.
buy tickets?
Yeah. I mean, of course, corporate sponsorships is always huge and really helps us pay for the event to put on the event. So corporate sponsorships is significant in allowing the gala to happen. Once people are at the gala, of course, we do a program. We educate on Duchenne, why there is a need. We share some stories of how we have helped families. And then there's always ways to give at the gala as well. Like I said, live auction, silent auction. If someone who's listening has an amazing live auction item to donate,
Like
that's
a designer
always great.
handbag of
Yeah,
the
designer
Karen.
handbags. But no, I think just I think we do one big event a year and it's our gala. Quite honestly, that's all. I work. I have another job. This is just something I do for passion. But that's all the capacity I have at this point in my life is to do this one gala.
So I know we have to wrap this up. What would you say to someone listening right now who feels hopeless in their own struggle? Maybe it's not Duchenne, maybe it is. But what would you say to someone right now who's just feeling hopeless?
Oh, I think hopeless is a feeling that I know I have felt so often. And I think what you have to do is wake up, put one foot in front of the other. Like you have to keep taking, even if you don't feel like it, you have to keep taking those baby steps. And I think that's what we're called to do is just trust, do our part, take those baby steps. Um, and again, I can't guarantee that you're going to, you know, that your hopelessness will change or always be there or go away. I mean, I don't know. But what I do know is that we need to keep taking one step, even if it's a baby step. Some days you might be able to go for a jog, right? Like you feel really far ahead. But if nothing else, just take that one step of doing what you know you need to do to find hope.
I love it. Thanks, Amber.
That's all I got.
Sometimes I'm like crawling, like I can't even
Oh,
walk. But you know what? I can crawl. There was actually was in a church service recently and I just felt that image of me like crawling to the cross. I think sometimes we're rolling. We're just trying to get rolling out of bed.
but I think that when we stop, I think that's where we get stuck, right?
Yeah.
Like if you are just trying to crawl, take a step, roll, cartwheels, whatever it takes, right? Like to
Get
keep,
up. Get
because
out of
once you
bed.
choose not to,
Mhm. Yeah. Well, you keep showing up for your family and your friends and your son and your daughter. We didn't even talk about Ayla, but she's a gem. I love you so much. I'm thankful for our time always. I'm so thankful after 45 years. You're the person who probably knows me the best. So I love you.
love you too. Thanks, Cal.
Thank you again for joining me today on the Driven podcast. If you are interested in supporting Austin's Hope, you can visit their website at austinshope.org. When you go there, you can find ways to donate, you can purchase tickets to the gala, or you can become a corporate sponsor. Amber tells a little more of her story on their website, but we would love for you to be a part of their mission to bring hope to those impacted by Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So thank you so much for tuning in. It was great to spend time with you, and I just wish you a blessed day.